we are here with Alan Knipe, Long Beach State men's volleyball coach, with a little one-on-one interview. Coach, thank you for taking time out of your day. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Darren. Always great to connect with you.
Thank you, Coach. All right. So now that your team has found out they made the NCAA men's volleyball tournament, how much of a sigh of relief is that to you and your team?
Well, like I said before, we felt really really good about our chances of getting in. But you never know for sure with the at large, and especially if you're not the number one RPI overall. There is a little bit of uncertainty there, but the with all the top seeds winning, I felt strongly. So there wasn't the same sense of relief as maybe some years past with some of the at large, even for us or some other teams. But it's you would like to go through the AQ, but this is why this we have the at large is for some teams that had the kind of years we had, is to make sure that they get into the field, and now it's our job to make the most of that opportunity.
And you basically talked about how the top seeds won in pretty much every tournament, like UCLA won in the MPSF and Penn State won the EIVA. Like, were you keeping tabs on all of the tournaments to make sure that there were no upsets or bid stealers?
Well, I think you do a little bit of watching and tracking it. There's no doubt, but it's hard to not know what's going on because everybody's firing you off messages anyway. So yeah, you keep track of it, especially in a year like last year where all the top seeds lost in that last Saturday. So you never really know, but I felt fairly comfortable of where we're at. That I didn't feel like in all the years that I've done this, there's only been a couple of times that something crazy happened like did last year. So I felt pretty strong.
Excellent. Now, obviously, your team fell in the semifinals of the Big West Conference tournament to UC Irvine. Do you think that loss could be a blessing in disguise or a possible turning point for the team?
Well, we try really hard to not get sucked down that rabbit hole that you have to lose to learn some lessons. But obviously, you can learn lessons from a loss, and you should. We try to do it from the win, but we there were some things that we weren't great at. We played those guys three times in a week, and we did beat them twice, but we certainly didn't play our best match in that semifinal. And there's some things that we've been able to pull out of that match and challenge our guys at to be a little bit better, maybe earlier in sets, and hopefully apply that to the match in Virginia.
And pretty much the Big West as a whole was pretty much just big time. Even some of the not so big time teams were basically giving you battles like Santa Barbara, CSUN. Like, what do you think your team has learned the most through those 6 weeks and seven if you want to include the USC match smack dab in the middle?
Well, I think that you're right. I think the conference is really really good. There's a lot of talented athletes on all the teams, and I think it forces you to play a different style of volleyball sometimes, or maybe not different style, but learning how to win in different ways. There was nights that it was a lot more about the serving and passing game, nights that was more about effort and transition and defense. It was nights that we just needed to be a little bit better offensively, or whatever it might be. Not every team has the same MO, and it forces you to play a little bit different. But the unique part is the twist of you playing back to back nights at your place and then their place. That does change a little bit from night to night, and it forces you to make some adjustments, especially when you win the first night. The other team's going to make some adjustments, maybe even personnel, but they also know that they're going to have to come out and play really well and hard the second night, because obviously everyone wants at minimum the split. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned from the conference and the way you methodically go through it that you can apply later on. But that there's the overarching lesson has to be that the conference does a good job of preparing us for the postseason.
And do you think you pretty much got like the bad game out of the way with that loss to UC Irvine? And does that like serve as a silver lining for you all now that you're in the NCAA tournament?
Well, it's going to need to be that way, right? You're in a tournament now that there's no plan B in this tournament. You win or you go home. So yeah, you know, like I said, you want to apply all the good and all the things that were good from wins, and even some losses. But this one needs to motivate and make sure that we're as clean and as committed to our style of volleyball from the opening bell as we possibly can be.
All right, perfect. So let's shut the book on the Big West Conference. By the way, great seeing you and your coaching staff over the weekend on Saturday. So, as for your team, Sotos or Sotiris Shipanis leads your team in kills and service aces. How much of a plus has it been having him on your team following the departure of Alex Nikolov?
Yeah, it's been really big for the statistical areas that you outlined for sure, but more importantly for the all round volleyball player he is. You know, there's it's his defense, it's his passing, it's his his spontaneity plays, his the ability to hit front row, back row, and on the left side, on the right side. Yeah, there's he can set the ball very very well. He makes us a better volleyball team. And yes, the stat line that you read helps us, but it's he's been a big part of our success without a doubt.
And then obviously we have Spencer Olivier and Clark Godbold who help out Sotos in case he's getting zoned in on in terms of like getting blocked or getting dug up. Like,
Yep.
what's it like having the three-headed monster with Spencer, Clark, and Sotos?
Yeah, I've been really proud of Spencer. He's had a wonderful senior season. You know, he's had some really big matches for us where he's done a great job shutting down the opponent's right side attacker because he's such a good left side blocker. He's had a wonderful year passing the ball. He's made a few adjustments in his serve, and that's been significantly better. Just really proud of the improvement and the commitment to his craft throughout his career, but especially from last year to this year. Clark really, at times he had some good matches and did some really good things early in the season. There's no doubt, but there was a point in the season in the middle of the conference, maybe at the beginning part of the conference, that he really just took off and he had a couple of matches offensively where he was literally carrying us. And I think it was the Northridge match at Northridge where he had 32 kills in a match. And he's just such a quiet kid and humble kid, and it's never about Clark. It's always about our team. That I don't think a lot of people notice how many things that he's doing for us as far as leading the conference and blocking for a non-middle blocker, and he serves really well. He passes in a four-man for us. No, he's had a tremendous year.
Yes, and it was that Northridge match where Clark Godbold had 32 kills, and it was quite the match that he had. I've seen Clark Godbold, and he's just been outstanding for your team. But as for the middle blockers, we can't forget about those two. Shane Holdway and Simon Torwey can get it done offensively and defensively, and also with serving the ball. What's it like having those two as security blankets for the offense, defense, and serving?
Yeah, I think we're really fortunate to have the whole middle group that we do have. Grant Maroki's been really good too, Dieris McGraven, and some other Derek Owens and Aiden Gross, some guys that we have in the gym have done a really good job for us. But the two guys that have been starting, Shane and Simon, you with Shane you get a little bit of everything. He's a really good blocker, he's a good server, and he's obviously a very talented attacker. He's our captain. He brings calmness and a real cerebral approach, and to the style of volleyball we want to play, especially at the net blocking. And then Simon is playing his first collegiate full season, as a middle. Last year he got thrown in there in February, and he played a little bit, but it wasn't necessarily that comfortable. This year he got to train in the fall. We got to work with him, and then he ends up leading the country in blocking. So he's only getting better. The scary thing about Simon is that if people came and watched him play this year and got to see how talented he is offensively and what an amazing blocker he is, and he serves like an opposite, obviously from all those years of playing on the right, that people are only starting to see a kid who's scratching the surface of the possibilities in that position.
I could already hear the whole all aboard, choo 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 going
Hopefully.
on in my head. Sorry about that. All right. And we can't forget about Aiden and Mason, as Aiden's been setting the offense up really well as Mason being a stalwart defensively when it comes to digging the ball. Talk to us about the pluses of Aiden and Mason and how far they've come from last year and 2021.
Yeah, Mason and Aiden are also captains with us. And when you think about your libero and your setter, you know that they're going to touch the ball significantly more than most guys in the court. So they're obviously very important pieces to this. Mason is just, he has this deep down desire to be exceptional at his position and his craft in every area of it. He lives and breathes volleyball. He wants to do it for a long time, and that's definitely something that's in the future for him. He makes our serve receive better. He's an unbelievable communicator. He plays great defense. He has a great knack for reading the plays and the spectacular play because he doesn't give up on plays. And yeah, we're really fortunate to have him out there because serve receive is a lot about communication and prep, and he's dialed on video. He knows how to communicate with his passers, and he does as far as us going in and out of 4-man serve receive. He does a good job of shifting guys around on his own when it used to be a lot from the bench. We dial that in before games, and he has the ability to freelance a little bit, and he does a great job with that. In regards to Aiden, I just think that going into the year, a lot of people were really concerned with losing Alex because of the massive amount of attacks he had last year and the high level at which he killed the ball, and rightfully so. And with all the struggles we had last year from even having middle blockers that were healthy enough to play for us, it was a little bit of a struggle. But losing Alex, getting some guys back that were healthy in the middle, and adding some talent there, adding a few pieces on the outside. I just think that the biggest growth we made was that we weren't going to make up for Alex with one guy. It was going to be collective. And that put a lot on Aiden, but he was last year he was coming off of ankle reconstruction surgery and wasn't able to do a whole lot in the fall. This year he had a whole fall to work on him and his offense and being a little bit more balanced and middle of the court driven. And I just think he's made significant strides. And if you look at our hitting percentage number from even last year to this year, we're in the top 4 in hitting percentage. That means you're passing the ball well. That means you're running a great offense. You're setting a lot of really good balls, and you have attackers at the pins and in the middle of the court are killing the ball. So yeah, Mason and Aiden do a great job for us. They're an important piece of what we do, and they're at that point now, both of them, that they're at the second half of their career, not the first half anymore. And they act like that in practice. They act like that in video. They act like that in prep, and they act like that in the matches. And that's a lot easier to coach, and that's a lot easier to talk yourself through situations that are going on in matches. Especially a couple of times this year when we were down 0-2, some of the adjustments we were able to make came through good communication through Mason and Aiden and Nick and myself to actually switch some things up. And when you got younger guys in that spot, sometimes it becomes a little more emotional than it does tactical.
Excellent stuff. Excellent insight. And we obviously can't forget about Nathan Harlan, who I call the Swiss Army knife or the other security blanket. Are there any other unsung heroes who come in off the bench to give you that spark that you need in case your team is like down or something like that?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of reasons why guys can come in. You can be down, or you can just actually want a little bit more of something that the guy can provide. You're exactly right. Nathan Harlan has had an amazing year for us. He's a really talented volleyball player, and the biggest area he's helped us from would be the service line. And, so he's done a great job serving, but he's played on the left, he's played on the right, he's set and trans. He's done a lot of things for us, and he's going to be a big part of what we do in the next 10 days. Other guys on that, Connor Bloom's been phenomenal off the bench and had some big time serving runs for us in some really timely situations. Fifth set at Northridge, fourth set at SC. And there's other ones too. He's had a really good season for us. Calvin Sanborn and Grant Maroki. Grant Maroki's been a big upgrade for us, sometimes coming in, and anytime we put it in there, he's been instant offense. I think some guys like Nato Dickinson, who's doing a lot of great things in our gym, and Dieris McRaven. These guys are doing some great things in our gym, and we feel really comfortable if we we want to put him in a match. Sebastian Rodriguez has done some really good things, and he's able to play on the left and able to play libero if he needed to, wear a million different hats. And Island Doty, steps in and sets a match for us down at San Diego, and we get the win. And yeah, and then what Eric Beebe and Josh Rosenblum are doing, and the list is long, because that's what it takes to have a team that can get to this point in the season, is that you're getting pushed by a group of guys who are really talented in the gym. They actually know you better than any opponent will ever know you, and they're not intimidated at all to play you. So the matches or practice drills that we run are incredibly high level, and in fact, our first team doesn't win those at some ridiculous percentage. Our second team wins a decent amount of some of our drills, and that makes us better.
Awesome. Great to hear about that insight. And it's all about the team and how the team makes everyone better. All right, jumping to the NCAA tournament. Your team will be traveling to Fairfax, Virginia. You've played at Eagle Bank Arena earlier this season against George Mason, but are you hoping LB Nation shows up even though you're playing 2,662 miles away from Walter Pyramid?
Yeah, we are. You never know. That's a lot to ask to get all the way out there to get the numbers that we get in the pyramid, or just like last weekend down the freeway in Irvine. We'll have some people there. There's no doubt, but we also have to be prepared that it's not going to be about that. Really, it's going to be what it's really going to be about for us is bubbling up as a team and worrying about us, bringing our own energy, and energy generally comes from execution and making plays, playing well, having the whole team celebrate that and feel that vibe of the postseason vibe. So we definitely can't be in a situation that we're hoping to draw a lot of energy from the crowd. If it happens, that'll be a bonus that it can help, but we gotta take care of that on our own.
Got it. Now, as for your opponent, you will be playing Grand Canyon of the MPSF, who is making their first ever NCAA tournament appearance. How do you prepare for an opponent that you haven't played this season, let alone an opponent that you haven't played since 2019, let alone
Well,
your.
we have seen them the last two falls. We played them in Las Vegas in the fall this year and last year. So we do. Both teams do understand it a little bit about what the other team's makeup is. Obviously, we have a lot of video, and we'll prep, but you prep with respect to your opponent and with what the season they have and the talent they have, and the style of volleyball they play, and they're a talented team throughout their roster, but their biggest thing is to offensively is to stress you with their speed and the tempo of their offense, and they got good guys at the pins who can jump and get on the ball with good arms, which usually equates to good serving or aggressive serving, and also a lot of out of the back row big attack. It doesn't mean they don't have good middles. They do. They have some good middles, and they're going to come in and play like that. That's the style of volleyball they play. So yes, it's important for us to prep for that and be able to have an answer to that. But like always at this time of the year, the most important thing is for us to stay true to who we are and make sure that at the same time we're getting better at what we want to do. And as we make adjustments and put some things in our block and defense and serving about how we want to stop them, making sure we're playing at a high enough level that there's more concern about them stopping us.
Got it. And that was my bad for rambling on about the Grand Canyon preview. So this will be the second time you'll be playing Grand Canyon. Like, what's it like playing a team that you haven't really played a whole lot? And do you think this could sprout into like a little bit of a mini rivalry or something like along those lines?
Well, like I said, we haven't played them much over the course of normal seasons, but we did play them in the fall. So when it comes to it, there's not a lot of history there, like there is with other teams, but it has to, things like that have to start somewhere. And when they start in matches like this, that can only help that. But to me, really, I try not to get caught up in a lot of that kind of stuff. To me, I want to be focused on, as my dad would say, who was a coach for many, many years, is that, you can't win the thing if you're not in the thing, so our job every year is to find ways to get better as the year goes on and get ourselves into the tournament and focus on us and executing us. And so that's kind of my mindset and where we're at right now.
Excellent. All right. So obviously you played in UCLA and USC. What's that prepare you what's that like to prepare you going into this NCAA tournament?
Yeah, well, you try to play as many of the teams as you can, and there's a method to the madness when it comes to scheduling. You want to have your RPI as strong as possible, so the committee rewards you for playing on the road and playing other conferences and non-conference. So we played 5 different conferences this year, which was a big deal for us to try to make sure that schedule happened. And when as far as teams in the tournament, we getting UCLA there and at our place, we really were disappointed with the way we played at UCLA. But I was very encouraged at that time about how we responded the next night. Even though we lost in 4, we won the first, and we had chances in the third and fourth where we were up after 20. And not that we were happy with that, but it was a lot closer to, I think, the team we believe we are and were at that time. But they're a very talented team, and they've had a nice year, and they got some depth, and they played the game well. And what they've done this year offensively and serving a block of defense make them, clearly the team that should be one of the top seeds this year and get a bye. But we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. Yeah, we do have some knowledge of things that they do and things that we would have liked to done better if we got a chance to play them again. But it does us no good to be too concerned with that right now. We gotta worry about us, and we gotta worry about the opening round match.
Yes, and that was kind of what I was about to touch upon. Obviously, if you win, you get to play UCLA, but how do you make sure you don't like look ahead? Because sometimes this could be like some sort of a trap game, and then UCLA is obviously kind of your rival and whatnot. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, there's just no way that it will happen. And if it just the way we run a program is we're always going to respect the game of volleyball. We're always going to respect our opponent. We're always going to respect our logo and how we play. So first and foremost, the most important match of this whole tournament is our opening round match, and that is where our focus is. And the way we plan for matches and prepare for matches, it's not like we just run through a scout team of the other teams all the time. We actually we work on us and being able to use different types of whether it be our in-system blocking or our out-of-system blocking or a heavy serving team or whatever. We work on these different parts of the game, so when we need to use them, it's not so specific about one team or the other. So we feel like the way we train is we're preparing for different pieces for different matches, because that's how we do it all season long, and then we'll flex the areas that we think we need the most in those matches. But no, I'm not overly concerned with that, because I think for years and years and years now, we try to take the approach of giving the team we're about to play the respect they deserve and our attention.
awesome. And what'll it take to beat Grand Canyon, as basically it's a quarterfinal match and you won't get to play them until the 2nd of May? And yes.
Yeah. Well, regardless of who the opponent is, what it's going to take is for us to make sure that we're creating pressure in all areas of the game. It starts with our ability to hit our serves and get our block and defense going. And then once you get your block and defense going, you want to make sure your transition numbers at a good number. In other words, you've got the creates, now you're getting the converts. And then on the serve receive side, making sure that first and foremost, we're going to pass the ball and run our offense in system or medium system and deal with the out of system as we need to be. Make sure that we have some good distribution and balance to our offense. And then the intangible ones is play with a lot of LB grit and enjoy the moment, free ourselves up, and win the next point. That's the key to volleyball anyway. Regardless of what happens, win the next point.
And before you play your matchup against Grand Canyon, will you be doing other non-volleyball things in Fairfax, like maybe visiting monuments or any of that sort? Or did you knock that out back when you played George Mason
Yeah,
and
we already
LIU?
did all that. We did all that earlier in the year in January. We're good with that. Right now, we'll get back there and get our prep in, last video prep in, get one good practice in, get a serve and pass in, and play the match.
Excellent. And for all the supporters that you've had, all the fans that have shown up, like, is there any like message you want to give out to them before you head off to Fairfax?
Yeah, it's another tremendous year of volleyball at the Pyramid. Huge, huge thank you to the LB Nation for showing up and packing the building, selling it out, showing the love for the guys, traveling to our away matches, coming to the Big West tournament. Yeah, it's just the greatest fans, diehard fans, incredibly loyal fans. We're really, really fortunate as a program and as a staff to get to do what we do with the people we do it with. So to the entire LB Nation, just a huge shout out to you and tell you we love you and we know you'll be watching, whether some of you are there or some of you are watching online, and we appreciate you very, very much. And go Beach.
Awesome. And there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Knipe, Long Beach State men's volleyball coach. Alan, thank you for jumping on. We appreciate you. So,
No worries, Teran. I appreciate all of the support, and we'll see you soon enough, bud. Take care.
thank you. All right. This has been Teran Rodriguez of Set Point of IE Sports Radio. We will see you soon.